To say about how to eat the live.
Assalamu alaikum, family, peace, healing, and light. And welcome back to another episode of Healing with Angelica's podcast, where we discuss all things healing. And of course, if you're new to the show, welcome, beautiful souls. So, of course, before we get started on today's episode, I'm so looking forward to this episode. I had to make it happen. I know last time we had to postpone it, but we back and we're here, right? So praise be to Allah. So before we get started on today's episode, please be sure to share, like, follow, and subscribe so you won't miss out on any upcoming episodes on your favorite podcast station, Closing the Gap broadcast on YouTube and Facebook, and Knowledge for Life on YouTube and Facebook, and of course, Healing with Angelica on Facebook and YouTube to help spread the light of healing to others in need. Listen, you guys, we're almost there. We're almost hitting our mark of 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Okay, I've been doing this thing now for about 3 years. Y'all go ahead and share our YouTube page to those that are in need of healing. We need about 30 more people to hit our mark of 1,000, right? So go ahead and support, okay? It's free. Also, if you are ready to start your healing journey and don't know where to start, Healing with Angelica is here to assist you on that journey, right? Get started today on your healing journey by texting the word HEAL to 937-313-2466. That will help you navigate your healing journey. So definitely be sure to reach out if you're ready to start your healing journey. So on today's episode, we have an amazing guest joining us today. No other than my brother, okay, down here in Dayton, Ohio. My brother Stephen Muhammad, as we'll be discussing today's topic. The future of Black people depends on us, a call to action. Brother Stephen, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you. First, I'll start off in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the one God to whom all praises are due, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, 9,000 miles to seek and save that which was lost. I want to thank you, Sister Angelica, for inviting me on to your very prestigious show. I mean, all the people that was shown before we came on, I was like, wow, I'm so honored to be on your program and to talk about really a very timely subject, a call to action. And it is a call to action. I think that everything that we see going on today, if you are not in the mindset of acting in the way of securing our community, then it's no wonder the scriptures say the deaf, dumb, and blind. Then that's truly us as a people, because we've been robbed of a knowledge of self. And that robbing, I'm sorry, but and that robbing of a knowledge of self, it distorts our perception of reality.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you don't know history, you don't understand and perceive the time in which you live properly. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's one of the reasons why we are asleep, heading right down over a cliff. But
Mm-hmm.
I'll stop right there. Thank you, sister. I appreciate you inviting me onto your program.
Oh, listen, Brother Stephen, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. It's been a long waited, journey for us to get on the show together, brother. And you were okay. I know you wanted to get in and hop in. You like, oh, let me not get into the meat of it just yet. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's save that for a little later, right? So for those who may not know you, Brother Stephen, do you mind just sharing just a little bit more about you?
Sure. I am married. I have two grown children who are out doing their thing in the world. I wrote a comic book back in the 90s called Ebony Warrior. Ebony Warrior was an independent Black comic book company called Ania, and we were featured in USA Today. And unfortunately, we weren't able to continue producing the books because another company had come out. They had split from Marvel. And for those black nerds out there, they know Image. And so our books had to be shelved, unfortunately. Then I went on to start producing some TV programs, and I formed a nonprofit organization, Knowledge for Life, where we focus on mental health and wellness. And we have a campaign that we're starting called From Pain to Power, Healing from Generational Trauma. And so that's going to be a powerful series. And now I'm on the road to I formed an organization called Refuge Depot, and we focus on emergency preparedness. So that is one of the things that I've done. I've written a few books, if you don't mind me putting them up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I've written this book. It's called, wait a minute, there we go. Your left is my right, right? This one is called The Inescapable Famine. And as we all know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been warning us as a people that America and the world will experience the worst famine ever written of, ever recorded in the annals of human beings. And so this one is outlining all of the things that are going to bring about this famine. And I would definitely recommend people get that book. I then wrote another book called How to Survive a Heat Wave in the Hood.
Mm.
Now, the book Inescapable Famine and this book are actually linked together because the heat wave is one of the things that's going to cause this inescapable famine, among other things. You know, there are so many different factors. There's insect die-off, there is supply chain disruption, there is the tariffs. And, you know, we got these farmers right now crying, these white farmers crying in Arkansas and Illinois and other places like that, because the tariffs are devastating their ability to sell their crops, mainly wheat, soybean, corn. You know, places like China are no longer buying, you know, these crops. I mean, billions of dollars lost. Africa is also closed this door, you know. And the thing about it is that, you know, America, many people don't know, would sell a lot of these crops to Africa, undercutting the African farmer. And this is one of the reasons why Africa is underdeveloped. And, you know, when you watch the television and you see these Africans and they have on these name brand t-shirts, that is because a lot of these t-shirts that we dump into these dumpsters, they send over into Africa, not to help the Africans out, but to destabilize the textile industry in Africa. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things that America has done that has destabilized Africa, but Africa is becoming free now because America is imploding. She's imploding in on herself. And, you know, as the scriptures say, if Satan be against Satan, how can his kingdom stand? So many people may not know that when the war happened in 45, that allowed African nations to start seeking their independence. And the same is for today. You know, so this is a great and dreadful, a great and dreadful day of the Lord.
Ooh, ooh.
Oh, I got one more. This last one is called immunity empowerment. Immunity empowerment. And so it goes more into just eating right. So our immune system is impacted by so many different things, right? Our immune system is impacted by those people who are around us. Our relationships can cause our immune system to suffer. You know, a music, if you're listening to a certain type of music and it's vibrating at a certain type of rate, that can lower your immune system. I mean, it goes into so many different things. It goes into prayer.
Mm.
Prayer is something that is definitely needed if you want to maintain your immune system. Another thing is diaphragmatic breathing. You know, just you do it all the time. We should have done it in the beginning of this program. Hey, let's do it. Let's let the people. Let's do that.
Okay.
If you would, I'll let you lead it, and let's just do a few deep breaths, because what that does is that when we're stressed, what happens is many times we don't even recognize that we're not breathing. We
Yeah.
can be so stressed that we're not breathing. And then what you do, you go, you know
Mm.
what I mean? You're exhaling because you don't even recognize that you weren't breathing because you're so stressed out. But what deep diaphragmatic breathing does is that allows you to reset, you know what I'm saying, and get some of that stress up off of you. So if you would, let's let the people experience what we're talking about.
Okay, that's fine with me. I do this all the time. And I definitely agree with you with that because when we are stressed, we tend to unconsciously hyperventilate. Um,
Hmm.
where we're taking shorter breaths, even inhale and exhale, right? So
Hmm.
we can do a little session real quick, you guys. Brother Steven done put me out here. So let's do it, okay? So
Yes.
you guys are on. I just want you guys to just first and foremost just settle in. um, really starts in the mind, right? Just calm yourself, calm your mind down, right? And then we're gonna do 3 inhale and I think 4 exhales, right? Because we want our exhales to be longer than our inhale, right? So when you inhale, you allow your diaphragm to go out. So inhale, your diaphragm will go out. Exhale, your diaphragm goes in, and you want your diaphragm, sorry if I'm saying it wrong, diaphragm to go in, and you want your exhale to be longer than your inhale, right? So we're gonna do it together. So I'm gonna count. So it'd be 3 counts inhale, 4 counts exhale. So we're going to do it. All right, inhale, 1, 2, 3. Diaphragm should be out. Hold. All right, exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The diaphragm should have went in. All right, again, inhale, count to 3. 1, 2, 3, hold. Then we're gonna exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, and actually like breathe, like actually push air out your mouth when you breathe out and make that long. Then we're gonna do it one more time. We're gonna go ahead and inhale to 3. 1, 2, 3, hold. All right, this is our last time. Then we go ahead and exhale and let that be long. 1, 2, 3, 4. So like, and at that point, your diet
Yes.
should have went in. And like even in those moments, like right now, I feel so much calmer, right?
There you
But that's
go.
also just a great way to kind of take control of your nervous system, right? When you're in fear, if you're anxious, or depending on what's going on in your life, right? Learning to control your breathing. Breath is life, right?
Absolutely.
And how to control our breathing, it can really, really save us in a lot of situations, right? So awesome. That was cool, Brother Steven. All right.
Yes, there you go.
Right.
Some other things that we need to do to boost our immune system is a lot of us are inside. A sedentary lifestyle is a deadly lifestyle. So we need to get outside. We need to get the sun. We need to get moving. You know, and the best place to get moving is in the parks, right? Where you're walking through forested areas. And whenever we can, we need to also see if we can take off our shoes and just, you know, what they call, I think it's called grounding, or I forget the terminology right now, but, they talk about, they laugh at people when they call them tree huggers.
Mm-hmm.
But they're on to something. And so, this Western world, what it likes to do is it likes to mock and make fun of natural things while it gives you unnatural remedies. So
Mm.
these unnatural remedies, of course, are, because they're unnatural, they cause side effects. Because what happens is you take this unnatural remedy, and it throws off another aspect of your body to where you have to begin to where you then have to take another pill, if you will, to try to bring about some balance. So I'll show you one of the campaigns that we have going on. And this one is called, and I hopefully you can see it, it's called
Mhm.
Support Farms, not pharmacy, not pharma, right? Support farms, not pharma, because when we spell farm, we spell it with a FAR, right? When we spell pharmacy, it's always he always uses a I don't want to say alternative. It's not an alternative, right? But he always uses some aspect of what's natural to mask his unnatural way of life. And
Right.
so the pharmacy is really growing our own food. When we get back to growing our own food, we will get the proper vitamins and nutrients from those foods. And really, we need to take our mouth out, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has always urged us to do, to take our mouth out of the mouth of or out of the mouth of the white man, not letting him feed us, because literally he calls it food, but it's not food at all. It's not natural at all. It's ultra processed, and now it's genetically modified, so that when we think about what's grown from the ground, what he does is he puts so many chemicals in the food through the processing that it's unnatural. And then, of course, the genetically modified food, we have to realize that this body that we have literally comes from the earth. We
Yeah.
all know that. It comes from the earth. In order to sustain it, we have to eat the earth. So the
Mhm.
Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we could never go to another planet and live on that planet, because we are not made of the same substance of that planet, right? So if we were to go to another planet, we have to take some of this earth with us. So think about how he has called what is not food food, because of the ingredients in it and because of how it's made and processed. And so it's killing us.
Mhm.
When we look at Black women, how is it possible that a natural act, and childbirth is always dangerous, but how is it that Black women in America have a higher mortality rate than some third world nations? And when we talk about a mortality rate, we're not just talking about poor Black women. We're talking about rich Black women, poor Black women. It don't matter what economic status they have. It's because we live in a very toxic society. And for men, we're not escaping it as well. The sperm rate in men has decreased at a dramatic rate as well, and it continues to decrease. And then we have on the spectrum scale autism. So we have these type of things, and the reason why we're suffering like this is because we live in an alien environment. We live among aliens,
Ab-
and our way. And you have fish. If you have fish in a fish tank, you have freshwater fish and you have saltwater fish. Now, if you put the freshwater fish in saltwater, they won't live long because they can't breathe, right? And so we are freshwater fish living in a saltwater environment, you know, and that
yes.
is one of the reasons why we as a people, we say, we have the on our t-shirts, I can't breathe. And
Mhm.
that is literal. We can't breathe in this type of society because it's a society that is not set up on freedom, justice, and equality, but it's set up on slavery, suffering, and death. And that's
Yes.
what it's set up on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ooh, praise be to Allah. My brother went in already, and I didn't even get to introduce. Okay, I was just like,
oh my,
no, you're fine. You're fine because everything that you're discussing is leading up to just the topic of today's episode, which is the future of Black people depends on us. a call to action. I want to also share to my audience, if you guys have any questions that you want to leave for our brother Stephen, please put it in the comment section below. Now, I do just want to give y'all just a brief insight of just what we're going to be diving deep into today. My brother, he definitely will go more into just us understanding the time that we're in, seeing that famine is on a rise, and how it's so important that we prepare, emergency preparedness when these times happen, right? So, of course, on today's episode, again, Brother Stephen and I will go in beyond the surface talk to dive deep into the urgent challenges and powerful opportunities facing our community today. Together, we will unpack the spiritual, social, and economic steps that we as a people must take if we are serious about building a future rooted in freedom, unity, and self determination. So I need you guys to get ready. My brother already started, but we about to go in deep, right? So this is going to be an honest dialogue that will leave you not only informed, but also inspired to act, right? Call to action. So I just want to go in and just, because again, we're going to lead into just why it's so important that we understand the time that we're in as far as the unescapable famine that's heading our way, and that's already here, honestly. It's just going to get worse, and also understanding how can we prepare ourselves for that. But first, when we say the future of Black people depends on us, right? What does that truly mean to you personally?
What that truly means to me personally is what, of course, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches, is that our unity is more powerful, right? More powerful than an atomic bomb, more powerful than a hydrogen bomb. Our unity is so powerful because when you think of nature and you think of, just look at some of the examples of unity, right? Ants, they are by themselves, a little ant, you could flick it, right? But if you've ever seen them nature shows where ants are they're going from one place to another, and they show a unfortunate insect crossing that path, ants are devastating. If you live down in the South, many of us know of fire ants. Fire ants have killed infant children. Fire ants are like this small, right? And they have killed infant children. When we think of birds, when we see them flying in that V pattern, that is a sign of unity. They are in unison, and they are in of one mind, and they allow that first bird to fly, and it helps allow the other birds that are following to not use so much energy. And so when that first bird gets tires out, it moves to the back and it gets to relax. Another example of unity is bees, right? Bees, they have these big hornets that attack the bee nest. And sometimes the bees they are by themselves, they have no chance against this hornet, right? But what they do is they surround this hornet into this big old ball, and it becomes, the heat in the middle becomes so intense that it kills the hornet through their unity. So what this enemy has done, as he has used the old art tactic, right, of conquer and divide, or I should say to divide and conquer, is because only when you're divided can you conquer a people. And so one of the things that as a people we have to understand is that this enemy, the first basic unit of a nation is the family, right? And so we have this enemy ever since our feet touched this soil. This enemy has been focused on making sure that the Black family never comes together. Imagine, for instance, when I was growing up, it's still around, but when I was growing up, they had the projects, right? And notice the name project. That's just what it was. It was a project, right? And what they did was they had or allowed the woman to be in the projects, but she was not allowed to have her man living in the home. The
Mm.
not her man, but the father of the children living in the home, or she wouldn't get the welfare check, right? And so imagine uh, establishing laws where you purposely destroy the family. You know, one of the things that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught is that we weren't brought here in 1619. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said we were brought here in 1555,
Mm.
and that there were 64 years of missing history that that was not written in the history books. Do you know what happened in that 64 years of hidden history, sister? They took the parents, they murdered the parents, and they raised the babies,
Mm.
not disconnecting them from their name, disconnecting them from their religion, from their culture, from their God, right? In other words, they reduced a black man to a Negro. A Negro, as we know from the etymology of the word, means dead, right? So they reduced us and they made us a dead people. And so what we say in the from the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and we're trying to wake our people up to this fact, is that we are the people that the scriptures write about. We are, I mean, when you read the scriptures, it's nothing but talking about us. Literally nothing but talking about us. Is not something that happened yesterday, but it's something that's taking place today. So, for instance, and I'll be quick with it, right? It just tells you straight up, know of a surety, Abraham, that your people will be brought into a strange land among strange people and afflicted for 400 years.
Mm.
So we know that the animals that are here in North America are not the same as the animals that are in Africa. So us being brought here, we're in a strange land. It's got different vegetation and so forth and so on. And then a strange land among strange people. Well, we already know that the white man, when it comes down to his nature, is very strange to our nature. We just don't see the same thing in the same way at
Mm.
all, like at all. Yeah, you know, there has been so many black leaders that have tried to warn the white man that he's heading down a road of destruction. Even Martin Luther King, after a period of time, saw us being in a burning house. And so I'll say this is that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has really been a torchlight for the white man. And there's no one, and this might sound contradictory, but there's no one who has shown more love to the white man than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because he has been warning the white man, and he has not heeded the warning. He's ignored the warning, just like the wicked have done in the past to the prophets. They ignored the warning. You know, we read in the Holy Quran where they just went straight up and told the prophets of God that, you know, test us, see, you know, bring on your God's wrath. And it did. And so yeah, real quick, in the book of Daniel, their names were changed. You had Meshach, Shadrach, and they said that bad Negro, right? Their language was changed and their names were changed. And look at our names: Mr. Walcott, Mr. Underbrush, Mr. Green, Mr. White, and we black, right? And so there's so many different. And so the Bible is just looking at our history, our sojourn here in different angles, and that's where we're at right now. Where we're at right now is we're at the story of, and this is why the inescapable famine, because there's two characters that I write about in that book. One is the prodigal son, and the other one is Lazarus. You know,
Mm.
Lazarus, he sat at the foot of the rich man waiting for the crumbs to fall from the table. Think about that. So there were crumbs on the table, but he had to wait for the crumbs. He didn't even get the crumbs that were on the table. He had to wait for them to fall from the table. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's a pitiful condition. But at a certain period of time, famine arose, and the rich man was seen in hell, and Lazarus was taken up into heaven by the father Abraham. And then you had the story of the prodigal son who sported and played, you know what I'm saying? And when you look at us, we're still to some degree, and a lot of us are waking up though. Praise be to Allah. A lot of young people are waking up. They're not attached to the ghost spell. I mean, gospel. They are waking up and they are going back to the land, and they are looking into growing their own food, and they definitely have an entrepreneurial mindset. But one of the things that unfortunately we see in our community is that they don't have enough support from our elders. And I think that this is one of the things that we definitely have to change. Oh, okay. I see. Okay. I seen your picture up there, but yeah, definitely something that we definitely have to change.
Absolutely, I definitely agree, and that's the reason why. Again, going back to this topic, um, we we have to depend on ourselves. It's a call to action for us to wake up, to see what is going on in our reality, so we can actually do something about it. So I'm glad that you, of course, made great emphasis on that, brother Steve. And if you guys are enjoying this episode already, it's already impactful, right? If you guys are enjoying this episode just as well as I am, please, 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 of course, show your support, okay? Healing with Angelica, again, been on the air for 3 years now, okay? If you are loving this episode and this show, just in general, please be sure to share and support. Information to donate will be shown on the screen below. Just text donate to 937-313-2466. I love you all. Now let's get back to today's episode. The future of Black people depends on us. A call to action. So, brother Stephen, whew, it's so many different layers to this subject, right? It's
Yeah.
like we talk about this all day, right? However,
Hmm.
I also want to just get into just, what do you see is one of the biggest obstacles holding our people, us Black people, right now, spiritually, mentally, and economically?
I think, and I'll just go with the program Healing with Angelica, right? So one of the things that we're, I think, oblivious of is the psychological warfare. So we know the physical, we know the police brutality, but many of us don't really realize the psychological warfare that's been waged on the Black man ever since that he was brought here. I
Mm,
remember Reverend Martin Luther King said that the psychological warfare is in the language alone, right? Where everything that's black is negative and everything that's white is positive. This psychological warfare. So I'll blackball you, I'll blackmail you. We wear white to weddings and black to funerals. But in the
mm,
East, they wear white to funerals because white symbolizes the absence of life, right?
mm,
When you burn wood, it doesn't turn black, it turns white, ash, right? When you look at sand, sand is white and it doesn't grow anything. That's death, right? And so when you look at the black mud, that life comes out of the black mud. So he has everything that's black being negative. Angel food cake is white, devil's food cake is black.
mm,
So just the psychological warfare in that aspect. And I think that one of the things that we do have to realize is that robbing us of our name, our language, our religion, those are all sciences,
mhm,
right? So a name, what's in a name? The Bible even asks, what's in a name? So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan taught us that a name describes the nature and the function of a thing, right? So think about when he renamed us, if you will, Negroes. He was describing the nature and the function that he was going to put us in. There's so many other psychological warfare tactics that he used, but one of the things that I wanted to talk about is what's called generational trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Generational trauma is something that our people have experienced. And after 4 generations, trauma becomes normalized, right? So, what we call Black culture today is not actually Black culture. It's really a culture that is shaped out of trauma. So,
Mm.
when we see each other, we mean mug each other. See everything that the white man has been doing to himself, we're now doing to our own brother, right? He has never had a true community. Whenever you see his history, he's always had a hierarchy. There's always been a king. There's always been soldiers, and so his system has always risen and collapsed, risen and collapsed, because he has never had a system to where you have it, for instance, uh, just giving an example of the Native American communities and the African community. You never went to you never saw in no history book where they had a TP and it was the prison industrial complex. You never saw no hut that had no prisoners, in the millions. But
Mm.
you have that, but you have that when you have an unjust system. You know what I'm saying? You have to have literally have to have police when you have a system that is not based on freedom, justice, and equality. Because when you have a system that's based on freedom, justice, and equality, you don't have to have police because everybody is in harmony with everyone else. You see what I'm saying? So what you see right now going on in the world is you see the masses of the people who are rising up because the large majority of wealth is in the hands of a small number of people. But this is how European societies have always uh, 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 um, established themselves, if you will. And so I think, yes, psychological warfare, generational trauma. I think that what we need to do, as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad always taught us, and Master Farad Muhammad said, accept their own and be yourself.
Mm.
What we have to learn is, who are we? And I think that what we have to get away from is, there's 3 unholy trinities that the West uses to keep us enslaved. They use his capitalism, these 3 C's, right? His capitalism, his Christianity, and his culture,
Yes.
right? Mind, body, soul, right? And so we need to come out of we need to come out of his capitalism, because really capitalism is nothing but a system of exploitation.
Absolutely.
And when and many of us don't realize that, slavery never ended. In a capitalistic system, slavery never ends. And so today, during chattel slavery, you know the slave master wised up, because during chattel slavery, the slave master had to feed, he had to clothe, and he had to shelter the slave. But then today he's much wiser. And he's even got the white man under what's called wage slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Wage slavery is where the slave has to feed, had to clothe, and have to shelter themselves. But when you think about it, you don't make enough money to actually enjoy life,
Yes.
right? You don't make enough money to actually be able to express your God-given talent, because under a capitalistic system, you're nothing but a digit, right? And now what we have to understand is, because of artificial intelligence and robotics, the masses of the people are being culled, right? There's population control going on. And how's that population control taking place? Right through our food and our water, and even through the air that we breathe. You know what I'm saying? So the Bible says to us, come out of her, my people.
Mm.
Come out. We shouldn't even want to be among this dude. This dude, right now, where we look at him doing all these crazy things, and we don't even need to talk about, we know what they are. He's doing just, and we're looking at it and we're like, you're just going to allow this to go on? You're just going to continue to do this?
Exactly. Exactly.
He's assassinating his own people, and I won't name. We all know what's going on. So come out of her, right? Be not partakers of her plagues. See, it's not our plagues; it's her plagues. We don't have to experience the plagues because they're her plagues. Her plagues are brought upon her because, as mom grandma used to say, what goes around comes around,
Mhm.
or what comes around goes around. Either way, it's
You
going to
said it
come back and get you, right? Then, we have in the scriptures that you shall you shall sow the winds and reap the whirlwinds,
right. Mhm.
or you could just use the simple cause and effect. If you do this, this is what's going to happen, right? And so, this is all coming back on him. And check this out: everything that he has done to the darker peoples of the world, God is putting all of that back on him.
Mm.
He put smallpox in blankets and infected the Native Americans. Now look at all of these diseases that are impacting him. I mean, farmers, for instance,
Mhm.
the USDA has been one of the number one instruments in Black people losing their land, the USDA. And so now look at it: white farmers are losing their land, right? And I mean, when I talk about I think it's like $500 billion of farm debt.
Mhm.
$500 billion. These white farmers are losing their land, but guess what's going on behind the scenes?
Mm.
Vice President J.D. Vance, and all of these others like Bill Gates and Bezos and all of they're buying up the farmland. They're
Mm.
buying up the farmland now with Vice President Vance. He's doing this, so they'll go and buy the farmland, and they're using the land as instruments of investment. They
Mm.
don't care nothing about feeding the people. They don't care nothing about feeding the people. So we're just dealing with a people who are totally carnal in their
Exactly.
mindset. They're totally materialistic. And in the book, The Torchlight for America, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that America is coming to its doom because of greed, lust, and an inordinate self-interest.
Yeah.
Inordinate self-interest. So it
Mm.
is what it is.
That's so deep. You touch on just capitalism within itself. And I think a lot of us need to understand just what capitalism is and why it's so imperative that us as Black people have to really, really go into doing for self first, then others, or, what they say, do for self or suffer the consequences, right?
Mm,
As of right now, we're seeing what is going on when it comes to the consequences of not learning to do for self, not going back into agriculture and learning farming, not going back into the basic skills that our ancestors knew to do when those times occurred, right? So it takes me to my next question because again, we're talking about again you bringing up again capitalism and just how everything that everything that's going on is really controlled by this system where we don't have any really fair share in it, honestly. So
Man.
how important is economic independence, and what does it look like in practice for our community of Black people?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? So when we look at economics, and let's tie it into what you had just said about going back into some of our trades, right? Electricians, plumbers. Man, if you are looking to get wealthy, become a plumber. If you're looking to get wealthy, become an electrician, because the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the white man will be building, he'd be driving that hammer into that nail right up to the very end. And if you look, you look at all these, jobs, they're, yeah, because a lot of the jobs are being, a lot of these blue collar and white collar jobs are being replaced by robotics and artificial intelligence.
Mhm.
But, you know, there's no robot that I can call that's going to get up under my sink and fix my plumbing. There's just that's not going to happen. There's no robot yet that's going to come out and help to correct my fuse box. So, it's just things like this that we need to definitely get back into. And of course, we continue to talk about growing our own food. So economics, let's look at it. So when we were released from the physical slavery, of course, there was sharecropping after that, right? But we built over 60 towns throughout the United States. And one of the reasons why we were successful in those towns is because the white man had to come to us. We were the ones who built the homes.
Mm.
He didn't do nothing. He had to depend on us. And so whenever, something, was needed, there it was. And so the dollar would circulate in these black towns not for months, but for a year. A year, the dollar would circulate in these towns. So when I say the word circulate, right, let's think about that. In your body, you have what's called the circulatory system, right? And when you look at it from a microscope, you see the blood circulating. Well, when you go into communities that are economically sound, you see a lot of traffic, a lot of traffic. That's that dollar circulating throughout that community. But when you see a body that has poor circulation, then you see the deterioration of the uh like, for the instance, the hand, right? I forget I think it's atrophy, right? But you see, and eventually it turns into what's called gangrene, right, where there's no blood circulating in that part of your body. So the part of the body where you see gangrene is the black community. And the reason why we see gangrene in the black community is we were taught that the white man's ice was colder, his grass was greener. You know what I'm saying? And so once again, I love the spirit of the young people that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said is the greatest generation that we've ever produced, because they're not going for that anymore. They want to be entrepreneurs. They want the support of their people. And so you see young people coming together, you see them unifying, and it's a beautiful thing. And so what we have to do is recognize, though, that one of the things that caused these towns to be destroyed was envy, right? Envy and jealousy. And the white man today, he's more envious and jealous of seeing the future of the black man, that we have to, as a people, wake up to this fact, because we can see what's going on overseas. We can see the outright live stream genocide that's taking place right before our eyes. And we better not believe that what we see over there overseas is not going to affect us over here. And I'll say this, because the same people who are committing that atrocity over there have control of the government over here. And they
Yep.
have the same thing planned for our babies. Listen to me. They have the same. If this don't want you to stand up, black man, and unite, I don't know what will, because they have the same thing planned for our babies. Right now, you got these National Guards going into cities where they tell you that the crime rate is lower. Who
Mm,
cares? We don't care. We're going to put them up in there any old kind of way. Why? Why are you doing that? Instead of wasting money with National Guards, if you want to reduce the crime, why don't you re-educate the people?
yeah.
Why don't you give them working skills? Because they don't want to.
Mm,
They don't want to. So let me say what the Bible says. The Bible says Pharaoh saw the children of Israel multiplying, and he said, "Come, let us deal with them." Listen to this, wisely. We
wisely.
we can't just go in there like our nature wants us to do and just slaughter them, which
Mm,
they're going to do eventually, right? But he says, "Come on, let's deal with them wisely before they, uh, uh, so that we can, paraphrasing, so we can stop their multiplication." But they had another fear, and their fear was that they would join on to another army and come against them. So what does that say? That says that at the time that Pharaoh was making that statement, that Pharaoh was at war.
exactly.
What we're dealing with, if you're a Star Trek fan, what we're dealing with is Klingons, right? These people, they always at war, because if you study what's called an antisocial personality,
Mm,
everybody, there's an enemy around every corner with an antisocial personality. And if all black people, all darker people were removed from the earth, guess what he would do? He would see that white man with a beard. He said, "Them white people with a beard look suspicious." You know what I mean? We can't trust them. So, I mean, they're doing that right now. The Democrats against the Republicans, they're evil. You know what I mean? It's like, we need to just
it's
look, we
going.
need to get out the way. We
It's
need to separate ourselves and live.
exactly. In so many other ways, in the nicest way, kind of mind our business in a way to where
I'm gonna plug this in.
we're not partaking what's to come and what is already going on. And I want to kind of go back and touch bases on just the importance of economic independence. Um, Again, we've been dependent on a system for so long that we have been crippled, we have been paralyzed. As to how to bring in economics, uh, I'll say economic success our way, because we have again been crippled, right? So for me, it's about actually understanding the importance as to why we are in this time now that we have to really depend on ourselves. Because if we can't do for ourselves and we continue to allow a system to do for us, a system that we already know is out for us, out to get us, then that will really, really, send us in this whirlwind of being taken over and not being able to have the things that we need to have in order to overcome and be successful, right? So for me, what that looks like is farming, land, having to go back into uh getting our land, cultivating the land, right? We know that's where true economics starts at, right? We're able to coat the land, we're able to produce from that land, right? And once we're able to understand the importance of farming and land, and being able to understand that's our true way of starting our economic success, then we'll definitely see a change in just how we will, be able to come up as a unit, as unity, as Black people. So I'm glad you touched on so many different things just with what you said. You said a lot, but
Man,
it was so impactful that I'm trying to remember all the little things that you said and kind of go back on that because,
can 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 I say
yeah,
just a little bit about this land, right,
yeah,
that you're talking about? I remember Dr. Sister Ava Muhammad, right? Peace be upon her, right? She said that land is real estate,
mm-hmm,
real estate. It's not fake, it's real. So land provides us with what? Only the basic necessities: food, clothing, shelter. You know what I'm saying? Everything you need to survive, you get from the land. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that farming is the engine of a nation,
and
right? The engine. So if I go out to my automobile right now and I try to start it up without an engine, I'm not going anywhere.
aware.
If we remove my stomach and I'm not able to process food to provide my body with nutrients, I'm not going anywhere. So
Mm-hmm,
farming is the engine of a nation. And so when we look for real, that's one of the reasons why why that's one of the reasons why famine is about to strike, right? Because farming in America is crumbling. It's imploding. You know what I'm saying? Because of the tariffs. Once again, they have caused other nations to reject the produce that's coming from America. And now, instead of China doing business with America, which was one of the number one purchasers of, for instance, soybeans, China now is turning to Brazil.
mm-hmm,
Brazil is now turning to Venezuela. Venezuela. So now these smaller, darker nations are coming together, not just purchasing food, but forming an alliance. One that we probably have heard of called the BRICS nations, right? Started off by Brazil, Russia, India, China, and later on South Africa. But now they have a number of other nations that have come under this umbrella of BRICS. And the IMF, the international MFs, right? The World Bank, these blood suckers of the poor. You know what these blood, let me tell you what these blood suckers of the poor used to do, right? Because I used to be a part of an organization that called for the debt
mm-hmm,
that the IMF imposed on Africa. So these bloodsuckers of the poor would sell. This is just a small example, right? They would sell weapons to these dictators that they put in place.
mm-hmm,
That these weapons would go to be used to hack off arms and legs and things like that. So Africa's so poor, but they can afford military weapons, right? So come on now. So now what they would do is that since these dictators would buy these type of weapons, once they were overthrown by another a dictator or another today that's changing too,
mm-hmm,
but once they were overthrown, the IMF would still charge them money for the weapons that they purchased to massacre their own people. And I already talked about the textile industry being destabilized. They did so many evil and wicked things that are now, as I said, as they have done, so it's being done. And
mm-hmm,
so the Bible says that God is not mocked. Think about that.
mm-hmm,
Who would go up? Let's say that we saw God in front of us and we just be mocking God. You know what I'm saying? It say God is not mocked. Whatsoever whatsoever you shall do, whatsoever you shall sow, you shall also reap. And
mm-hmm,
so, that is because, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to be quick with this, right? So you have the Holy Quran, and you have the book that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave us called the Restrictive Law. Right.
Yes.
It is restrictive, but in the same sense as not restrictive, right? It's restrictive, but it's actually, you could call it the freedom law,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because when you transgress the law of God, what you're actually doing is you're putting yourself outside of the protection of God,
Mm-hmm.
right? So let's take an analogy of driving down a highway. So the highway, the speed says 65, but in your rear view mirror, you see this white car coming up, passing all the other darker cars, and it's going 125. So it's speeding down the highway. Now, there's a reason why there is a speed limit, and that speed limit is to protect you and to protect others who are on the road. But here's this dude rolling down the road at 125, being reckless. So, what we have seen, and the reason why the Europeans have been able to be rulers of today, is because they haven't abided by the restrictive laws. They've transgressed those restrictive laws, and they've gotten what they've gotten through what? Murder, right? Stealing, lying, and now all of these things are coming back on them. Nobody is doing anything to America. It is America doing it to itself. China's not causing America to fall. India is not causing America to fall. Africa is not causing America to fall. It is America's own in iniquity. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? That's causing it to fall. And unfortunately, the Bible says that we were born in this iniquity and shaped in it. And so now the Bible is saying that come out of her, but it says come out of her like this. It says, be ye not conformed to this world, right? But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So we have to embrace a new mind, and that mind is we have to embrace, we have to reject his name, reject his culture, everything he stole from us, reject his religion, reject what? Name, language, religion, culture. We have to reject all of that. And if we do that, guess what? We'll have so much peace come back to us. When
Mm-hmm.
we, you know what? I love my brothers and sisters, right? I love them, right? And even though they be mean mugging me, I'll be like, whatever. It's just because you don't know who you are, right? But I love my brothers and sisters, and the Bible says that, how do you know that you passed out of death into life? Because we love the brotherhood, we love the sisterhood, we love Black people.
There
We
you
love to see each other because we're so talented.
go.
We're so talented that Jimi Hendrix, he didn't even know how to play the guitar. Not only did he not know how to play the guitar, he was left-handed. He
Mm.
had to restring the guitar to be even able to play it. And now the white man calls him the god of the guitar, right? We were down in our basements dancing, right? And then somebody bumped into the turntable and it said, "Jig, jig." He said, wait a minute. He said, "Jig, jig, jig, jig." And then next thing you know, we started hip hop and rap. And now it's all over the world, all over the world. And he uses in his commercials, he'd be like 5-10 years behind us, right? He's saying chill today, where we were saying chill like 10 years ago. We
Yeah.
done moved past that.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, we just have to come back to ourselves. That's all. And the best way to come back to ourselves, and I don't have it with me because really I was just going to talk about these two other books, The Fall of America
Mm-hmm.
and Our Savior Has Arrived. These two books, right? Oh, shoot, the green screen. Anyway, these two books.
I see.
So if you want to know what's going to happen tomorrow, today, read Fall of America.
You go.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Woo, praise be to Allah. Brother Stephen, this has been an impactful show. So much meat, so much information. If you guys enjoyed this episode, I need you all to put the fire emojis in the comment section below. Okay. And I just want to say thank you guys so much for joining us today to discuss this well needed, profound topic. The future of Black people depends on us, a call to action. I would also like to thank my amazing audience in Healing Tribe for joining us today. I pray that this episode was informative, valuable, and of course, the most important thing, healing to you all. Now, before we end today's show, Brother Steve, could you please leave us with some closing remarks?
Yes, thank you once again. Thank you so much for inviting me on to your very important program. And I like to say program because we want to program ourselves to once again, fall into obedience to the will of Allah, who we believe came in the person of Master Fraud Muhammad. Now, in the scripture, it says that Moses spoke to Jehovah like a man speaketh to his friend. And we're saying that today that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad met with Allah, raised him from the dead, the first begotten of the dead. And it says it right there in your book of Malachi that I will first send you Elijah. And so I just say that, as we're going through these perilous times, that the best thing that we can do is to seek refuge in Allah. All of us are going through some difficult times because we were raised by an enemy of life. We were raised by an enemy of life. So one of the things that I would just like to say is, man, just forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Ask Allah to throw your sins into the sea of forgetfulness and let's just get right on the right path. You know what I mean? And our unity is the key. A brother here, I know he got the quote from someone else, but nonetheless, he always says, "We are the answer that we've been waiting for." We are the answer that we've been waiting for. I want to just, if I can, just ask the people to please support Refuge Depot. Go to Linktree, uh, uh, Linktree Refuge Depot. Also, we're on Shopify. You can visit our winter preparedness. So, for those of us who are living in areas where winter hits, I just want to urge you, please prepare for winter. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad says that Allah has stored up the snow that we see was up in the north is all being unleashed. It's all being unleashed, and he's going to use that as a weapon of war. So if the power goes out, you need some way to stay warm. You need to learn about building what's called a micro environment in your home. Go to Refuge Depot, follow us on Substack. We're on Substack, and just type in Refuge Depot and it should come up. But once again, Sister Angelica, I just can't express to you how grateful I am, not just on being on your program, but how grateful I am to just see a young person like yourself, using using the airwaves to disseminate life, instead of foolishness and death.
Oh, yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. It's definitely a lot of work. I can definitely say just being in this work, of course, when you're going against falsehood, in a world that is condemned all up into falsehood, sometimes getting the truth out there isn't as easy, right? So definitely, like I said, I love all of those that has been supporting me the last 3 years and continue to support this channel. Healing with Angelica again has been going on for 3 years. Definitely be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, of course, and share this. I got so many videos, just speaking on healing and just knowledge of self and truth and self-improvement, and just episodes just like this so we can be awakened to what's going on and what we should do to prepare. Brother Stephen, thank you so much again for joining
Thank
us.
you. And let me say,
Yeah, go ahead.
3 years, three is not insignificant. So don't even worry about it, because after these 3 years of trial is over, I believe that your program, along with others who have been on the web, will take off. And if nothing else, you know, you can archive, man, like the introduction, all of the people that you have been on there, you already submitted your place in the nation's history.
That's beautiful. Praise be.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh my gosh, you guys, please be sure. I do have his information scrolling down on the bottom of the screen. Please reach out to our brother Stephen Muhammad. Again, if you don't mind throwing your books up so people can check it out.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes.
and
Thank
again,
you.
um,
So,
yes,
uh, daggone green screen. I should turn it off. But anyway,
I can see it though.
Immunity empowerment, like I say, it just not goes on into just the eating properly, but also thinking properly, exercising and so forth. Relationships, music, everything affects your immune system. um, and then I have this book. This book is so important for right now, because one of the things that we have to begin to understand is, because the enemy continues to burn these fossil fuels, it's emitting carbon dioxide, which is causing there to be like a blanket over the earth, and it's not allowing the heat to escape. And so what's happening is every summer it's getting hotter and hotter, longer and longer. But not only that, but because the ice is melting, now you have a lot of humidity that's in the air, and so when we sweat, we're not able to cool off. So one of the reasons why we have to come together, brothers and sisters, is we have to begin to look out for our elderly, and we have to look out for our children, and we have to look out for those who can't afford AC. They can't even afford maybe the transportation to get to a place that has AC. So as a community, we have to begin to pull together and survive, right? And then the last one is really, what we need to do to survive. Now, see, down here it talks about anarchy, Armageddon, and separation, right? And so what we're going to be seeing is, this is horrible, because if we don't take this seriously, we talked about land. I'm urging all of the churches. These churches have so much land, and all they're doing is cutting the grass. If you want to attract young people again to your church, plant a community garden and get those young people who are in the community to maintain the garden and learn how to grow food. Doesn't that just sound logical? But if you believe in a ghost, if you believe in a mystery God, if you believe in a huff of puff of smoke, if you believe in Casper the friendly ghost, you're going to suffer as we go forward.
Oh, drop the
You're going to
mic.
suffer.
Praise be to Allah, Brother Stephen. Well, again, I want to say thank you so much again for joining us today. And thank you to my amazing healing tribe. We love you all, and we shall see you again. Assalamu alaikum. Peace, healing, and light.
Salam alaikum.
Welcome to Healing with Angelica.
Meditation.
Got to say about how to eat the liver.